We have become attached to this physical experience in many ways. This video focuses on just 3 areas that keep us firmly caught up in the matrix. Experiences. Experiences or dramas are simply situations, occurrences, or just happenings that take place in our daily lives. Now, our physical experience is filled with ups and downs. They're just inevitable as per the principle of rhythm, which governs our time-space reality. Now, the thing is that it's our resistance to this kind of waving motion that actually causes our pain. And if we accept this rhythmic flow of life, then we're actually able to ride the waves and transcend the matrix. When you are detached, you gain a higher vantage point from which to view the events in your life instead of being trapped. Now, this is of course easier said than done. Living in a matrix is challenging. Dramas, they feel so, and they appear so dense and heavy and real and important at the time of their unfoldment. And when we are faced with any negative situation in our life, we sometimes find that we're kind of triggered into this spiraling downward motion. Our thoughts run rampant and we're kind of thrust into emotional turmoil. To detach from the all-encompassing dense energy of our outer world experiences, we can practice presence and observation of the self. When we come out of our heads and return to the present moment, we learn to settle into an observer position. In becoming the witness of our life, we are more likely to remain alert throughout our lives' experiences. If we can become conscious enough whilst in the middle of an initial trigger, we can see the bigger picture sooner and prevent our descent into the unconsciousness of the matrix. From our observer position, we are actually graced with a new perspective, one that stretches past the limited viewpoint of identifying only with the drama itself. So you see, from our observer standpoint, we're actually offered this liberating perspective of the soul. And when we are in this new perspective, we actually realize the impermanence of the event itself, realizing that it will pass and remembering that it will fade away, just like everything does in the physical world. And through this process of disidentification, we also actually come to remember that we are much, much, much bigger than the drama and the event that is unfolding, and that it really holds no power over our infinite divinity. In our observer viewpoint, we watch our dramas play out like a movie in front of us. A level of acceptance has entered our being, and within this acceptance lies a fluidity as we flow through the dramas. Importantly, it is not necessarily the incident itself that we must accept, for at times we must take action to change our life situation. Rather, it is the present moment that we accept, understanding that resisting what life throws at us in any given moment only prolongs and increases our suffering. It is within this place of detachment and non-resistance that the universe works in mysterious ways. Rapidly and with a sense of divine order, dramas often miraculously resolve themselves and solutions arise. This is my secret. I don't mind what happens. Jiddu Krishnamurti. Thoughts. Our headspace is a relentless breeding ground for thoughts. We are continuously propelled into an imaginary future and an irrelevant past, leaving no space to appreciate the current moment itself. When we dwell in the illusion of thoughts, we tend to associate our sense of self with the voices in the mind. In doing so, we become a target for a ruthless inner monologue instilled with fear and negativity. Such voices can torment our daily lives. Our incessant inner running commentary may sound like us, yet it is not us. Rather, it is just another thread that weaves us into the matrix that we live in. So by learning to watch our thoughts, we rise above them and we become aware of the thoughts that we are thinking. And in doing this, then we actually come to realize that it is the thoughts themselves that is creating much of our suffering. So the negative looping and the general persistent negativity caused by thoughts, it can only drag out our dramas and prolong our painful reactions. Having acquired an observer perspective of our mind, a spaciousness arises after a thought. Hidden within this spaciousness blossoms a deeper knowing of being greater than the thought itself. Suddenly we are blessed with the freedom to disassociate with the thought that arises and detach from its gravitational pull. Transcending the matrix, we rise above our cruel inner voices and use our sword of detachment to cast unwanted thoughts aside. Through a courageous process of disidentifying with the voices in the mind, we gradually clear our dusty headspace of the unwanted thoughts that keep us tied down to lower vibrational states. Importantly, it is not the negative thoughts themselves that we are bypassing. We learn to observe the thoughts and accept them. Instead, we exert our power of detachment by choosing not to believe them and therefore inadvertently fueling them with similar thoughts. When we choose not to energize our negative thoughts, they fade away and we glide through our experiences without resistance and with a deep feeling of peace. In the light of our newfound consciousness, we actually find freedom away from thoughts. We're no longer permanently trapped in a world where our thoughts take control and have this all-consuming, heavy feel to them. Instead, we find ourselves in this reality where thoughts are nothing but tiny little entities, little vibrational frequencies that may be fueled or ignored according to our inner preference. So we now awaken to a world that is free from the chains of the mind matrix. Emotions. Emotions in all of their beauty are what make this unique earth game a joyful experience. Yet we also drag our emotions through our lowest moments in life. When we are met with an emotional uprise that feels unpleasant in the body, we can learn to approach it from a place of detachment without denying ourselves of an intrinsic part of the human experience. Now, emotion is predominantly a result of our thinking. It's just a reaction to thought. So for this reason, we only fuel and intensify emotion with thought. So when we become conscious of the emotion itself within us, then we can actually at that point choose to detach from the drama and the thoughts that are actually accompanying it, and instead place our attention on the sensation within our body that the emotion carries. And we can do this by really focusing our attention on it and actually feeling it, truly feeling it within our physical body. And having isolated this emotion, then we really begin to actually see what it is, which is just nothing more than energy in motion. The Matrix has programmed us to bypass our emotions. We deny ourselves of truly feeling our feelings by layering them with inner and outer distractions. When we bring presence to the emotion and focus on the inner energy field of the body, we allow ourselves to boldly plunge into the depths of the emotion inside of us. In this place of presence, we see past the matrix's distractions and truly feel into the emotion itself. As per the principle of vibration, the energy that appears as emotion holds its own unique vibrational frequency. Some emotions feel pleasant because they vibrate rapidly, and such emotions are able to pass through the body with ease, and we are elated with an airy spaciousness inside of our being. Other emotions vibrate with less speed. Consequently, they feel unpleasant to the human being, and they do not pass through our physical structure with ease due to their dense and heavy nature. To avoid these painful emotions from becoming trapped within our energetic bodies as trauma, we are called to bring awareness to our emotions and feel them. Now, through shining the light of awareness onto our dense emotions, we actually allow them to move through us quicker as we find flow. And in our heightened consciousness, we actually see past the fogginess of the matrix, and we are able to view our emotions just simply as impermanent energy that is temporarily surfacing and releasing. So we also learn that we can actually remove these labels of good and bad according to what they may feel like within us, and just kind of realize that the emotion, it just is. And instead we are able to allow it to move through us. And instead of trying to get out of it, as they would say, and resist it in a way, then we actually find this place of acceptance with whatever is unfolding. And we no longer resist our emotional ups and downs. Instead, we flow through them. Our newfound inner detachment from our emotion opens up a spaciousness around our pain, and it loses its grip on us. We no longer feel consumed by the heaviness inherent within dense emotion. Instead, we observe it, feel it, accept it, and release it, all the while settling into a feeling of it no longer mattering as much. In our place of non-resistance, we glide through our emotional uprises with ease. It is with our emotional blindfold removed that we rise above the limiting perspective of the matrix. Whereas we once believed that we were totally trapped in our matrix reality of experiences, thoughts, and emotions, we now discover that another reality is possible. Although thoughts, experiences, emotions, and feelings are beautiful and inevitable components of our human experience, without shining the light of awareness onto them, they keep us trapped in a restricted illusion. The matrix can keep us imprisoned within these experiences for an entire lifetime. Conscious detachment from them allows us to burst through the barriers and awaken to our inherent freedom, limitlessness, and divinity. So within our newfound consciousness and our perspective, unplugged from the matrix, what actually happens is that we allow space for our human life to unfold. We do not try to move out of the experiences as they occur, rather we just accept them for what they are in the moment and flow through them. So this process of detachment, it could be considered a process of disidentification from this kind of meat earth suit that we're wearing temporarily. And it could also be considered a process of actually remembering what we are before we entered this world, before we passed through a veil of forgetfulness, and remembering a process whereby we actually gradually uncover what we are beyond this physical existence. So having been consumed by our physical surroundings our whole life, identifying with this human body, now with this consciousness, what we do is we stop kind of sleepwalking through existence, and instead we awaken to a much greater sense of self, this sense of actually being part of something so much bigger, and a sense of being more of an infinite spiritual nature. Now, humanity, we are still evolving. And maybe with this consciousness, what we can do is we can actually follow this deep-seated yearning for freedom that we have as a species and really unplug ourselves from the matrix. So awakening to this new game of life as such, with a fresh perspective, we realize that we are able to move and glide through our human existence with more clarity, peace, and meaning. So thank you so much for watching this video. My name's Jasmine. Please like and subscribe if you liked this content. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the future videos. Bye 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 bye.